The ICU at St. Vincent's in Chicago never really went dark. Even at 2 a.m., the fluorescent lights hummed softly over the nurse's station. And the monitors made their steady, indifferent music. My grandfather lay behind a glass panel, sedated, a ventilator breathing with him. 3 days earlier he'd been arguing about the Cubs. Now machines were doing the arguing for him. The cardiothoracic surgeon had been direct. The next stage of treatment, specialized surgery followed by extended rehabilitation, was possible but expensive. Insurance would cover part. The rest would require liquidity. Quickly, I had liquidity. For 11 years I had built it, consulting contracts, deferred vacations. A condo I rented out instead of living in. The 990,000 sitting in a high-yield account marked in my mind for one thing: if Grandpa ever needed saving, I would not hesitate. That night in the waiting room, I refreshed my banking app out of habit. The number blinked. I refreshed again. 372.16. At first I thought it was a glitch. A frozen screen. But the transaction history populated neatly beneath it, multiple wire transfers. Structured in amounts just under reporting thresholds, over the past 48 hours. Authorized by a secondary account holder, my mother, years ago. When I was 24 and still naive about paperwork, my parents had persuaded me to add them, just in case something happens. I'd forgotten it was even there. I stepped outside into the cold hospital air and called my mother. "Oh," she said after a pause too long to be innocent. "We meant to talk to you." We. By morning I was standing in my parents' kitchen in Naperville. The same kitchen where I'd done algebra homework and been told not to slam cabinets. My father sat at the table with his coffee. My sister leaned against the counter, scrawling on her phone. "You took it," I said. My voice sounded detached, like I was reporting weather. My mother folded her hands. "We moved it. The housing market is about to turn. We had an opportunity. With my money." "It's family money," my father said. "You're single. You'll earn more." I looked at my sister. She didn't look up at first. When she did, she smiled, not wide. "Just enough. We need that money more than he does," she said. "He's 83. My father's jaw tightened. "He should just die. Dragging this out is selfish." There it was. Not shouted. Not cruel in tone. Just practical. Sunk inside me. Didn't shatter. It cooled. "I'm reversing it," I said. My mother actually laughed. "It's already invested." I had reported the transfers at 3:12 a.m. from the hospital parking lot. The bank's fraud department had escalated it before sunrise. Nearly $1 million moved without documented consent, during a declared medical emergency triggers attention. When the knock came, it was not hesitant. The front door flew open because my father, startled, had pulled it too quickly. 2 uniformed Naperville police officers stood there. Behind them, a woman in a navy coat holding a folder introduced herself as an investigator from the Financial Crimes Unit. The kitchen changed temperature instantly. "We're here regarding reported unauthorized wire transfers totaling $990,000, she said evenly. My mother's face drained of color. "This is a misunderstanding." The investigator glanced at me. "Sir, you're the primary account holder." "Les. Did you authorize the transfers?" "No." Procedure unfolded with clinical calm. Statements taken separately. Access to their devices requested. A temporary freeze placed on the receiving investment account pending review. Words like wire fraud and fiduciary abuse entered the room like unfamiliar guests. My sister's smirk was gone. My father looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. I did not gloat. I did not speak beyond what was asked. By that evening, the majority of the funds were frozen before they could be fully deployed into the property deal. Within a week, through a court-issued order, the bank restored the balance to my account while the investigation continued. There were no handcuffs that day. White-collar cases rarely start that way. There were interviews, lawyers retained, and a widening silence between us that no one attempted to bridge. I went back to the hospital with paperwork in my bag and sat beside my grandfather. His hand was warm. Paper, thin skin, stubborn pulse. "They tried to write you off," I murmured, though he couldn't hear me. "But we're not done." The surgery happened 3 days later. Complicated, long, but successful. Weeks after that, he was in a rehab room complaining about hospital coffee. The case against my parents moved slowly through the system. Negotiations, restitution agreements, monitored accounts. We no longer gathered for holidays, there was no dramatic final confrontation. Just distance. Formal and permanent. One afternoon in early spring, I wheeled Grandpa through the park near his condo. The lake wind was sharp but alive. "You look tired," he said, studying me with clearer eyes. "Just reorganizing things," I replied. He nodded as if that was answer enough. I had saved him. The money remained intact. The law had been clear. But something irreversible had happened in that kitchen. Not loud. Not explosive, just a door opening, and the truth walking in.